Hi, my name is Aaron Pedinati, and today I am interviewing Ian Klepetar at the Muzon House. Ian is a long-time healthy transportation advocate. As such, he works for the creation and maintenance of open urban spaces in which people can gather, walk, and bike. Having lived in 20 different cities, Ian believes that what makes a livable city is the investment in and protection of open spaces. Throughout his history of public activism, Ian has focused specifically on the issue of parking, including the effect that parking has had on various communities and the ways in which parking structures have detracted from the overall health of our cities. For this reason, he struck me as a good person to consult about the Saratoga Springs City Center's plan to build a parking garage in the High Rock Avenue lot. Ian, thank you for joining us today. It's good to have you here. And to start out, I want to ask how you feel about the proposed parking garage. As someone who is passionate about the issue of healthy transportation, do you believe that this parking lot will be friendly or unfriendly to pedestrians and bikers, and why?
Well, I recognize that one of the reasons that we have such a low ridership on buses, on bikes, we have a low number of people that walk to work in our cities, is because we've made it so easy to drive throughout our cities. I think the current number is 8 parking spots per automobile. 265 million of the 600 million automobiles that are in the world exist in the United States. So we have a lot of cars here and we have a lot of parking spots. So in our country we've incentivized driving. Most of us don't enjoy driving, but we see it as the only practical option from point A to point B. And by doing so, we've detracted from our most of our city's characters. The cities that people venture to and want to live are the ones that have protected their urban character with wide sidewalks, as Saratoga Springs has done, and preserved their open space. So I guess when we consider inviting a large parking structure into our city, we've taken a step back, and by doing so, it's going to send people into other cities. So to me, it doesn't matter if it's a 5-story parking garage or a 7-story. The idea is that we've invested in something that's going to discourage people from walking throughout our cities, biking throughout our cities, and create a stale, dry environment for the people.
Mm-hmm. And the specific layout of the space of running from Maple Avenue all the way down to High Rock Avenue, is that something that you see as friendly to pedestrians and to bikers?
Oh, not at all. As a pedestrian and a cyclist, these are areas that they would like to avoid. So it doesn't invite people. I mean, no one wants to walk down a street with a huge parking structure to their side. They want to see shops. They want to see a pocket park. So those are the things that attract people to move about a space. And the parking structure that's proposed here is a ridiculous option for that space.
Great, thanks. I also want to ask if you can tell us what you'd rather see built in this area, the High Rock lot, and do you have any ideas about what would be a better use of this land, from like a pedestrian and bike-friendly kind of perspective?
Oh, there's so many wonderful things that we could do with that spot. The ideas that come to my mind are, there's no playground in the close vicinity of downtown, so a place for kids to play, for their parents to gather, benches, tables, even having a large European style plaza would just be an incredible place for it. Maybe even having some really small cafes set up there.
Mm-hmm.
So it'll actually create some vibrancy and attract people that aren't looking to just relax, but hang out at a table and eat some food, drink some wine. I think something like that.
Yeah.
Just reimagining kind of what we can do with that.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Yesterday I interviewed Todd Fabozzi, who's a local urban planner with 20 years of experience, and he actually suggested something similar to a pavilion, like a European-style pavilion that would draw people in and
Mm-hmm.
Create a sort of vibrant public space down there. And what he said was that since this land is opened are owned by the city, that's actually an open option for us. If it was just developers who own that land, there would be no chance for something like that. But since this is publicly owned space, something that's actually a civic work that could be good for the people of Saratoga is actually a possibility of what could be actually created there. And that's not what is being pursued. Instead, they're going to build a parking garage. Overall, why do you feel that walkability and bikeability are such important issues for people who are concerned about healthy urban space?
Well, I guess, for the same reason that so many of us, go to the gyms to work out, and so many of us drive our cars around our cities, because most of us feel, that biking and walking around our cities isn't safe or isn't attractive, because it is loud or it is noisy. What else? Where was I going with that?
Just general reasons that walkability.
Oh yeah, so people, people go to the gym and work out because we haven't incorporated walking and biking into our lives as Americans. So we have to supplement our lives with exercise, because we're not getting from point A to point B on a bicycle or walking to the local cafe. So we're not getting the exercise in the general health in our day-to-day lives.
And if we were to incorporate them in that way, then maybe we'd have exercise that was in some way not just exercise, but also about sociability and interacting with people and creating public spaces that people felt comfortable in, and that sort of thing.
Absolutely. It's a benefit to ourselves and our communities.
Yeah. Okay. Can you share some of your insights into the negative impacts that large parking structures have had on communities?
Well, I think the biggest thing is that people move out of those cities. People are attracted to going to places that have places where they can run and play and walk and bike, and those are becoming like the Seattles, the Portland, Oregons. Boston, Massachusetts is doing a good job. These are the places that people want to go to, and so we lose our city's tax base, and it's creates an unknown future, because the more cement that we build up, the more mall-like our city becomes, and what's going to keep people here, and those are things that are going to send people out of here. And
also, if you happen to be a city that's economically dependent on tourism the way that Saratoga is, you want to keep things as beautiful as you can. And do you see a parking garage as potentially being a threat on that front?
Oh yeah,
that's a pretty
Absolutely.
Obvious question, I suppose. But,
I think when you look around and you just see building after building, I think it's not an environment you want to be.
Right. So okay, and last question: what advice do you have for the people of Saratoga who oppose this design?
I would say re-envision the space, and I guess first of all, to do everything in our power to keep it from happening, but also to create some alternative plan to, what could be better suited in this space. Focusing on, a park or a plaza, perhaps, some small cafes that could actually generate revenue, and I guess when you're considering a parking structure where the paid for parking is tied to paying for the structure and being uncertain if people are actually going to use it, I think it also puts it could put the whole lease or the whole idea
up for question.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you very much, Ian. It was a pleasure to talk to you.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Hope to maybe have you back here again sometime soon.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks.